Hello, my name is Alan Schlossberg, and I am going to demonstrate in this short movie how to take blood from birds and then apply the blood as dried blood spots on the calves that we have. We have one slight problem in that I don't have small birds or warblers here in my laboratory at Beit Dagan, so we try to use as a surrogate small birds that are basically domestic poultry. Unfortunately, we found this wasn't a good model because these birds don't fly, and when the birds are small, their wing veins are very, very small, and when the birds are big, it's also the veins are not appropriate. So it may be just now I'm going to demonstrate the more technical parts, and later on we'll send some pictures of how to take the blood from small birds such as the warblers. Anyway, I want to demonstrate now how we're going to apply the blood basically to the calves, and I would like to emphasize that when we take blood now for testing for chemicals, it's quite different from what we do when we're testing for exposure to diseases. In other words, the most important thing here is to keep the samples very clean. We have a problem with dust mainly. Dust outside in the field often contains metals such as lead, and dust inside here in the lab even contains other contaminants such as PBDEs. So in other words, we're going to have to concentrate on keeping everything very clean, that is the calves. Anyway, let me show you here what we need, the equipment we need to start. First of all, we need alcohol, about 75% to 90% alcohol in water. Then we need these cotton tips, which you can buy at any pharmacy. Then we have the needles here. We'll tell you exactly which needle to use. This one is, it says 23 gauge by 1.5 inch. The 23G gauge refers to the size of the needle. In other words, the smaller the number, the larger it is. So this is 23 gauge, and the smaller needle is this one, which is 25 gauge, and this is probably what we'll be using on the birds. Once we've taken the blood from the vein, then we'll be putting the blood in these microhematocrit capillaries. These are small tubes which contain about 75 microliters of blood. So we'll be doing that, and then we'll be putting the blood on these cards. These are the things which have to be kept clean. Here I've just got a pile of them, and I've written down here outside cards. So this one can get dirty, but this is protecting all the cards inside. So we keep those as clean as possible. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is take a chicken. As I said, it's a very poor model, so we'll just see how it goes, and then I'll try and take blood from it and demonstrate. Here's our chicken. It's not quite the same as a little warbler, but never mind. So what we'll do is I'll take a needle now. Sometimes we have to learn to work with one hand, because we have to use our mouth sometimes as well. So basically I have the bird here, and I'm preparing the needle now, and what I'll do now is I'll take the swab with the alcohol, dip the alcohol in it, the swab in the alcohol. The alcohol has several tasks here. It's very good for making an antiseptic effect on the skin. It also cleans, and it also makes the veins a little easier to see. Here we can actually see the vein is enormous. I'll put the swab on it now. It cleans, as I say, it makes it a little bit easier. So okay, so I have the bird here now, and now I have the needle. I'll just make a little hole in the vein. It didn't go in the skin even. Okay, now we have blood. So now I'll take these hematocrit tubes and I just put it here with the red side into the blood, and you can see I just alter the angle of the tube and it fills the tube. I put the tube on a clean surface, which can be even a piece of paper from a computer printout. Here again I take some more blood. And this is actually quite simple. I made a very small hole here in the vein of the bird, but this is typical of a warbler perhaps. In other words, we don't usually get as much as 2 whole tubes. Okay, what I do now is take a piece of paper. I do this of course in the warbler as well. Just apply mild pressure onto the vein to stop the bleeding. This of course is very important for the warblers. And of course, for all the birds that we're ringing and taking blood from, we have to be very careful to treat the birds very carefully. So in other words, as little trauma as possible, because these birds have to continue flying in their migration. So we just press gently for about half a minute, and then we can see, yes, there's no more bleeding. The bleeding has stopped. So now we put the bird away, and we carry on to the next stage. The next stage now is to apply the blood to the card. So here we have the card now. I can put these away now, the tubes, till the next bird is bled. We also should safely dispose of the needles, by the way. In other words, put them in here and put it in place for safe disposal. I take now one of the cards out of here. So what I do is take the next card down here, and I have to remember to hold it always at the bottom here, not at the top, near where the circles are. Okay, so I've taken a card now, and I've put it back here. So here is the card, and as I say, it's very, very important to keep this clean. Never put it on the tabletop, even if it's a clean tabletop. As far as the chemicals we're measuring at very low concentrations, everywhere is dirty. So what I do now is I take the tube and I put my finger on it like this to stop the blood flowing out, and then I go to the first spot here, the first circle, and put the tip of the tube on the center of the spot. And we're going to have to film this somehow, but what I do now is I relax the pressure of my finger at the top of the tube, and this causes the first blood spot to come out. And I do this, always doing it from the center. I apply the blood at the center always, and the idea is to fill the circle as much as possible. Okay, we're getting close to it now, a little bit more. We're very close to it now. Each circle like this contains 50 microliters of blood. So we're very, very close to it now. I think that's probably enough. Okay, so you can see that comes. And now we can go on to the next one. We can do that as well. So this particular case we have 2 birds. I do the same now. I'm difficulty photographing it. We let it go from the center, let it flow down. Okay, we're doing okay. Okay, and then we have another tube here that I took from the same bird. Okay, I think that's about it. That's a bit too much. That's probably that's about right. Okay, so here I probably don't have enough for a third spot, so I'd leave that. And then we have basically the card ready. So what I do now is write down here the first 3 letters of the species of the bird. So if it was Sylvia borin, I'd write down here SYL. BOR. I can also write down the last 3 or 4 numbers of the ring that I put on it. say 107. If this was just this one bird, one spot, I'd leave this here and write the next bird here. But if this is 2, I can now extend this to here, so that I know in the future I have 2 spots from the same bird. What I do now is I put this onto our drying rack here until the next bird is done. This is basically an old slide container, which I'm sure people can find now. No one uses them anymore. And this stays for about 2 hours till it dries. I prefer it to be done in a place where there isn't any wind, where it's quiet, let's say where there's no possibility of pollution. I'll just show you a card here that I've filled out previously, which just shows it's already dried. It's already been wrapped in this protective paper that we have. And you can see also this was Hirundo rustica, I took 2 spots from, and then also these 3 individual birds that we took 1 spot from each. In the other movie that we made on DBS, I describe in more detail how to store these papers. Okay, well basically that is what I wanted to tell you, and I hope that will be sufficient. As I say, we will add more pictures of how to take blood from the smaller birds